I'm probably a good candidate for that artificial sun therapy, but the days are going to be starting to get lighter, and that's a good thing. But they're still pretty dark, and I'm doing an office makeover, and I've got this weird nook in my office, and I can't figure out what to do with it. It's really small. So I saw one of these folding rules, and I think they're pretty neat, and they kind of have this retro vibe. Remind me a little bit of Erector sets and Radio Shack and my grandfather for some strange reason. But yeah, this is going to be the inspiration for the folding floor lamp, which I've never done a floor lamp, but I always like doing things one time and then moving on, so that's not that unusual. And I went to a home center and picked up a bunch of yardsticks and carriage bolts and some pine and this bottle light kit. And I had a limitation on that. It's 8 feet long, so I knew I'd be constrained somewhat in how big the floor lamp was. But this is everything that you're going to need except for a table saw, which I used, and a miter saw and a bandsaw, although you can use a jigsaw in lieu of a bandsaw if you don't have one. And so, yeah, the first step I did was to raise the blade on the table saw to about the thickness of the wire and then run the lumber through there. And I moved the fence over just a skosh and made a second pass. It would be thick enough to accommodate the wire. And so the bottle light kit came with 8 feet of wire, so that was my limitation. And so I marked 24-inch segments on the pine, and I wasn't quite sure yet how I was going to configure this thing. I didn't have a design or anything, but I cut everything at 24 inches, and then I was going to figure everything out as it went along. But the way it turned out was the first piece that rests on the base is 24 inches, and then the last piece with the bulb is 24, and the others were kind of somewhere in between. And here I'm trying to raise up the first moving piece, if you will, and you can see it's going to hit the ground when I try to raise it. So I knew I'd have to round that out, which I'm going to do just in a segment coming up. But basically I just cut all the yardsticks to length and then glued them up and then set some weight on there, and then took a protractor, which I haven't used in years, and drew a little semicircle there so I could round out that piece, and took it over to the bandsaw and cut everything out. If you don't have a bandsaw, you can always use a jigsaw to make this cut. But this is the only piece I had to do that with. And so, yeah, then I set it on the base piece and figure out where I wanted it. I didn't want it at the very end, so I kind of put it a little bit off center, but lined those up and then drilled a 5/16 hole with a 5/16 inch drill bit. And the trick here is you have to recess the nuts in the head of the bolt. So in the segment coming up, I'm just going to recess everything so they'll fit nice and snug, and that way it will fold up. So I had originally envisioned that I could use wing nuts on the connecting pieces and just hand tighten it to adjust the folding floor lamp as needed, but the level of hand strength needed ended up being too much. And so I ended up going back to just regular nuts. But then I built the base, and I probably made it too wide than I needed to. I'll go over kind of the mistakes at the end, but yeah, I needed to drill a hole at the end to put the bulb, and so I basically put some painter's tape on the end of a drill so I knew how far to take it. And yeah, I drilled a hole there, and then one at the top near the little rabbit cut, if you will, that I used on the table saw so that I could snake the wire through there and then down the length of the lumber. And the last step was to turn the base upside down and the lamp upside down and underneath, and then screw from the bottom with coarse threaded screws and then stand it up. And what's not shown it here is the last piece with the bulb on the end. Hey guys, today we worked on a floor lamp, and as you recall, I'm trying to solve for a little nook in the office that's kind of a strange area. It's pretty small, and I was trying to solve for that by building a floor lamp, and I'd never done a floor lamp, so I thought it would be a lot of fun and particularly interesting to make it out of yardsticks, make it look like a folding rule. And so that's what I did, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. There's some things that I would change. First of all, I was trying to snake the wire through the lumber, and I just could not figure out a way to have the wire there without impinging on it when I folded it. And no matter what I did, I tried to drill holes through the wood and snake it through that way. But no matter what, it would always impinge. And so I basically put more significance on the ability to fold the lamp than I did on hiding the wire. So the wire just hangs down from the uppermost arm, and to me that's fine. And the base is probably a little wider than it needed to be, and if I had to do it all over again, I would make it narrower. So in that sense, it kind of felt like almost like a prototype project, a prototype floor lamp, if you will. But that's part of doing projects, and even if you're not 100% happy with it, you learn something along the way. So in that sense, I guess it's a success. But yeah, I had a lot of fun, and I appreciate you guys being here.